those that came from the module. Ayan. So we will start. So, sino yun? We will start solving. Okay. So, in your module that I will upload later, some examples here, they don't have solutions. So, they are here. So, the first example class, what is the density of iron if 156 grams of iron occupies a volume of 20 cubic centimeters? So, the given there, mass and volume. What is required from you is the density. So we just do direct substitution. Your equation, your density is equal to the ratio of your mass divided by volume. You just substitute it. And what will be the answer, Mr. Morano? Are you there? Mr. Morano? Oh, wala si Morano. Bubunot uli ako. Mr. C. What is the density, Mr. C?
Ma'am, 7.8 grams per centimeter cube po.
Okay, 7.8. Ay, si Morano, hindi nagsalita. O sige, o pareho kayo. Okay, so 7.8 grams per cubic centimeters. Okay. Ayan. Siyempre, wala talagang sagot yan. Oh. We go to the next. So, for the next example class, this one, we will do some derivation. So, for number 2, what is the mass of a block of tungsten metal? You're given the density 19.3 grams per ml, which has a volume of 53.93 cubic centimeters. So you're given the density of tungsten and the volume of tungsten. You are required to have to solve for the mass. So baliktad siya. The equation, the original equation is rho equals mass divided by volume. So if we are going to derive, you cross multiply your density with your volume so that we will be able to arrive at this equation, which is your mass equivalent to the density times your volume. That is the derivation. So if we are going to substitute this, okay, so we use the derived equation, density times your volume, you just multiply. So what will be the product of 19.3 and 53.93? Dali, bunot muna ako. Mr. or Miss Curio. Hindi ko alam kung babae o lalaki si Curio. What's the product? Okay, what?
1,040.85 grams.
1,040.85. Is that the rounded off or is that the final answer?
This is the final answer and rounded off po.
Okay. So this is 1,850 grams. Okay, thank you. So, yan. So, the answer, then he said 1,040.85. Okay. But meron pala siya. Okay. So we go to another computation. Ayan. So class, the next that we will be solving is your specific gravity. Class, in your specific gravity, there is also another term for it. It is relative density. So like density, it is also a derived quantity because it is a ratio between the density of your substance and the density of your reference. So if your sample are liquids, you refer liquids and solids, your reference commonly is water. But if your sample is gas, your reference use is hydrogen or air. So for us here in chemistry, we will be using as a reference will be water. And the formula for your specific gravity or relative density, which is symbolized by rho r, is equivalent to rho s, which is the density of your substance, divided by rho w, which is the density of water. We had already mentioned what are the equivalent densities of water as your reference, which are 1 gram per ml, 1 gram per cubic centimeter, or 1,000 kilograms per cubic meter, and 62.4 cubic feet. Okay. So we start with the solutions. So for your third example, how much will a liter of gasoline... Bakit ganun? It should have been the example also a while ago. So how much will a liter of gasoline weigh if its density is 0.66 gram per ml? Class, in chemistry, weight and mass are used interchangeably in chemistry class, ha? But when we go to physics, weight is a unit or a quantity that is equivalent to force, and it is not equal to mass for physics. So here in this problem, we consider the weight equivalent to mass because we are still in chemistry. But in physics, they're different. So you were given the density and volume of gasoline. Ay, sinabi ko pa. So your volume, which is 1 liter, is equivalent to 1,000 ml. And the density of your gasoline, that is the formula for gasoline, which is octane, it's 0.66 gram per ml. So this time, you are required to solve for mass, like what we did a while ago. So it is, for derivation, your rho equal to mass divided by volume. Then if we cross multiply to arrive at a formula to solve for mass, it will be equivalent to density times your volume. And since that is 1,000, you just multiply, and automatically, if you have three zeros from 1,000 ml, you just move the decimal point 3 places. So we will arrive at your mass, which is equivalent to 660 grams. Masukin muna natin si... Okay. So for the next example class, you are asked for specific gravity of an iron cube. If its density is 2.3 grams per cubic centimeter. So you are given the density of iron as 2.3 grams per cubic centimeter. you are required to solve for the specific gravity or relative density. So when you solve class for specific gravity or relative density, you take note of the given units because it is from there that you will consider what value of density of water that you will be using. So for our equation, rho r or specific gravity is equivalent to the density of your substance divided by the density of water. So since that is gram per cubic centimeter, we will be using the density of water as 1 gram per cubic centimeter. And as you can see, if we divide it, we will just get a numerical value because relative density and specific gravity, they are unitless but numerically equal to your density if you are using water as your reference. That's why I mentioned a while ago in our course here in chemistry, we will be using water as your reference because most that we will encounter will be gas or I will be liquids or solids. Okay. Okay. So please take a picture of this one class. So this is Archimedes principle. So in Archimedes principle, I know you're familiar with this. When he shouted Eureka, then he ran on the streets naked. Okay? So that was because he was tasked by the king to prove that the crown was made of gold without damaging the crown. So in Archimedes principle, as I have mentioned a while ago, when we use the hydrometer, we consider the buoyant force that is exerted by the liquid. In this case, it is water. So if you can see in this picture, the mass of your object is 5 grams. But when you submerge it in water, its mass becomes 3 kilograms because the 2 kilograms is being buoyed upwards by your water. And that buoyant force that pushed your object upward also caused the water to overflow. And that overflowed water is equivalent to that buoyant force, which is 2 kilograms of water. And also, in laboratory experiments, they refer to this as the water displacement method because the 2 kilograms of water overflowed is equivalent to the volume of your object because it overflowed. As you can see from the picture, the object took up space within the volume of your liquid. So we will apply that here in this next uh, problem. The volume of an equal mass of a liquid. Okay. So for number 5, you have a piece of an unknown metal that has an intricate shape, meaning it's not regularly shaped. The mass is 136 grams. You submerge it to find it this displaces 462 milliliters of water. So what is the specific gravity of the piece? Okay. So you are given the mass of your object and the volume of your object. The volume of your object is equivalent to the displaced amount of water because as you have seen in Archimedes' principle, the volume of the object is equivalent to the water it displaced. So the volume of your object is 462 milliliters. you are required to solve for the specific gravity. So for the first step, we will solve for the density, which is your mass divided by volume. So it is 136 grams divided by 462 milliliters. So what will be the density of your unknown material? Wait. Mr. or Miss Sumanga. Are you here, Mr. or Miss Sumanga? What is
Miss
the...
po.
Sige, ano Sumanga?
Ano nga po ulit na question, ma'am?
What is the density of your unknown material? As you can see here in the slide,
0.29 grams per millimeter po.
0.29. So 0.20, 29 gram per ml. Okay. So we will arrive at the density of your unknown material. Tama siya doon. Then, the next that we will do, we will solve for the specific gravity. So, since we know that your specific gravity or relative density is the ratio between the density of your substance and the density of water, so you just divide it. Please look at the unit. So it was gram per ml. So we also use the density of water, which is expressed in grams per milliliter, so that we will be able to cancel them and arrive at a unitless answer, but is numerically equal to your density, provided that your reference is water. Okay. Okay. Ay, tapos na pala. Bilis ah. Ay. Okay. Section 2. Sige. So, I will just upload your module including your exercise 4. Then for those who, if you will be looking at your G class, I have messaged some of you who did not submit their solutions. You are still allowed to upload your solutions. Anyway, I will depend your date of submission on the history, on the date when you originally submitted it. Basta ganun, class. When you have your exercises in your exams and even in your quizzes, you have to write your solution so that your teachers will know how did you arrive at the answers. So you will be doing prelim exercise number 4 from your lecture 2, and this will be our policy. If you recall, you have the significant figures in your, what's that, module 1. But in computations class, this is what you should do. There should be 5 decimal places after the decimal point in your answer. Then in your final answer, you make it 2 decimal places after the decimal point. And you round off the last digit. Okay? So that we will be able to see where did you get your final answer. That's why you are required to put the 5 decimal places first as an answer before the 2 decimal places after the decimal point from your final answer. And also, class, in your, you are section 2. So from this Thursday until April 29. So April 8 until April 29, every Thursday for the whole month of April, I will not be able to meet your section, pati si section 3, because I have a series of webinars from CHED for as a representative of the school. So it means that we will meet next week on the 13th. So on the 13th, please, aside from your calculator, please bring your periodic table of elements next week for our next meeting. Okay. Ayun. Ah. Okay. Class, do you have any questions? Oh, wala silang
Ma'am,
tanong.
question.
Mr.